So something cool that I learned is that when you're stretching these hip muscles and you're fighting against something that is weak, uh, by the time you come back to the same stretch tomorrow, you're pretty much almost back to square one. This is an experience that I've had, I don't know, for the last decade. And I was always kind of weird. I always found it weird how no matter how much I stretched, the progress was so damn slow, man. So damn slow. And then I was, in the last couple of weeks, I've been reading about all this stuff, watching a bunch of videos, and guys are talking about getting stronger in that end range motion, kind of like PNF stretching in a way, but also targeting the other side, right? So in this stretch right here, I am targeting the adductors, right? I'm opening up my hips. But you have to ask yourself, why is this not letting go? So one of the ways you can help this muscle get longer through the stretching is to actually target the other side of it. So simple stuff like doing, what are they called? Clamshells, doing fire hydrants, just doing anything for the lateral hip will make the adductors loosen up without even stretching, right? Because in order for that motion to happen, for the abductors to work, to throw your leg out, abduct, the inside of the leg has to relax. And so there's like a neuromuscular communication going on between two sides. Okay, so I'm contracting. So you better chill out on the other side because I'm trying to contract here. I'm trying to move and achieve something. So the central nervous system has a lot to do with tonicity, or the tone of the muscles across the body. So if you want to get longer here, it probably pays a lot of benefit for you to strengthen the muscles here. Now, thinking about my hip pain, thinking about the history that I've had, I could probably conclude that I've never really trained my lateral hip. And I've had very limited exposure to unilateral leg exercises like lunges, reverse lunges, that kind of thing. Sports in general, we spend most of our time on one leg. And so I never used to have hip pain when I played basketball. Mind you, I never really trained heavy weights either. So I'm just kind of wondering back in my mind, like whether I just continue doing some sort of single leg stuff, that I would just naturally be more flexible because there's a communication going on between the two sides. One side is contracting, the other side is lengthening. Simply just doing this, like I can get like pretty good progress in one sitting, one session. If I stand here for the next 30 minutes, I will have the muscle give on me. It will give and I will enter new ranges. But like I said earlier, man, tomorrow morning I wake up and I feel like I'm back to square one. Very, very tight. I feel like the muscles are more like concrete. They're not pliable. They're not, I don't know, soft tissue in a way. So before I turned the video on, I was doing some lateral hip stuff. Nothing crazy. I was basically doing bent over, just had my hands on the bench and kicking the leg to the side. You know, burning the hell out of the glute minimus and medius. The reason why I'm leaning over is because I'm trying to chill out with the TFL. The TFL is kind of like a hip flexor as well. So, you know, depending on the positioning and the angle of your hip flexion, you can kind of bias certain muscles, right? If I stand straight up like this, like if I'm standing on my feet right now, and I just kick my leg out to the side, I feel a lot of TFL. But if I bend over, or if I do a fire hydrant, on all fours, I feel like that muscle chills out. Now, the reason why the TFL on me is always really like toned up, always turned on, is because the side glutes, the minimus and the medius, are weak. And so you have all these compensation mechanisms, and the TFL is not a big muscle group. And so when you really are squatting deep and you're really pushing the hip extension exercises, you know, flexion, extension, like sagittal plane stuff, the TFL starts to really take over, and it's not going to last very long. And that's when you have like, tendonitis type things, bursitis, all these things start to pop up because you're really putting a huge load on something that is a small contributor to movement. So this is something that I hate doing. Every time I do a fire hydrant or a freaking side leg kick or whatever, I just feel like a chick, Every time I go to the gym, I see chicks, all they ever do is glutes, 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 glutes. But there's merit there, there's merit there. For some reason, this popped into my mind. In AFL, Australian Football League, for some of you guys that don't live in Australia, it's like the oval ball. There was a player, he's retired now, I think. I've lost touch with the game, but there was a guy called Gary Ablett Jr. His dad also played, one of the greatest of all time in the game. But Gary Ablett Jr. was exceptional. When I was 15 years ago, when I was really into watching AFL, watching my hometown team, Gary Ablett was like the best in the league. And one of the things that made him stand out from the pack was his ability to not get tackled. There was a lot of discussion about him because he was the best. Obviously, everyone's talking about him. It was very, very hard to get him to the ground, to tackle him. And one of the things is that his core and his lateral hip, or his hips, was so strong that he could sidestep. So you're hanging onto his freaking hips. You're trying to get him down. And he would sidestep away. He would dance around with the footy in his hands. He would kind of maneuver his way out. You would struggle to get him on the ground. He was so well balanced. And that balance, that stability, comes from muscular balance, right? So you didn't just have a glute max that was really, really strong. You had a glute minimus and a medius and the hip flexors, the psoas, iliacus. All of these muscles were really, really strong on him. And, back then weights were not really a big thing. The fitness industry has blown up in recent times, but he didn't do a lot of stuff that we do, man, like deadlifts, squats, that kind of stuff. He did a lot of the shit that we pay out, right? Bosu ball, freaking one leg balancing shit, right? We make fun of this stuff, but when I watch, the NBA guys train, that's what they do, man. They get the cable, low pulley, and they get two cables, right? So one's pushing, one's twisting, and then they're leaning over, doing a single-legged freaking deadlift. They're doing all sorts of weird shit with number of forces that they have to deal with. Now we look at this stuff and we pay them out. Look at LeBron's squat. What a loser he is. Loser? You could probably say that he's the best athlete to ever live. At 6'8", to do what he does is exceptional, and he doesn't train like the way we train. So I'm not saying that we all jump on the Bosu balls, but I think there's something there as well. There's something there in partial range of motion. There's something there in a lot of these balancing exercises that we pay out. For this instance, if I was doing a lot of Bosu ball stuff, probably my lateral hip will be much stronger. I would have a more balanced pelvis. The muscles around there. So, simply trying to get length in a system that is imbalanced and not ready for that length, you feel like you're battling up a hill. It's like that. And so as soon as I get down and do some fire hydrants, all of a sudden I'm like, damn, the hell, man. I didn't stretch at all. And I come in here and I'm like, whoa. So I stretched this morning. I woke up a bit early. I'm still night shift mode, man. I'm already back to work today on day shift. So it's not fun. But this morning I woke up at 4 a.m. I was up in here. Couldn't sleep. So I stayed up for about an hour and a half. And I got in here and I wanted to stretch out because stretching, like I've said in previous videos, just really relaxes me, really makes me kind of sleepy, just completely turns off that sympathetic nervous drive. That's what I found anyway. It really relaxes, that tone disappears and you just want to fall down and sleep. That's why it's good for meditation as well. So I came in here and I was doing this for about half hour and then I went back to, hour and a half. I did some, fire hydrants and whatever. I was messing around. But I found that just doing a bit of fire hydrants, warming up that other side of the hip, made this part more loose. So that's something to think about. A bunch of you guys have been sending me all these links of guys who are into mobility, flexibility, and I've seen a fair few talks now, a fair few ideas about strengthening the core, the pelvis, in order for you to have that length. So if you are immensely imbalanced, for instance me, I have anterior pelvic tilt. That shit can't be good. It cannot be good to be so imbalanced and then you start stretching. So there's a weakness there somewhere. There's a weakness and you have to address that weakness and then stretch. So it's not just a matter of, spending 50 hours in these positions and waiting. There's more to it. Anyway, I just walked in. I did some partial range squats again. Like I said, I did a whole bunch of experimentation with the lateral hip. I even tried to do a yoke walk. I set up like basically bar outside the rack, and I would walk backwards, walk forwards a few times. Loaded it up to 180. It's a little bit awkward walking backwards with that much weight. I could certainly do more weight with the yoke walk, but the walking backwards is a little bit weird. But yeah, the whole idea was to target the hip, right? Because when you are stepping, right? So this is planted and you're stepping with your leg. This leg is the only thing that's contacting you with the ground. And what's happening at the hip level? Well, the glute medius and the minimus has to stabilize the pelvis. Otherwise, you have that Trendelenburg, that position where you sink your hips. So in order for you to walk properly and not drag your leg out for clearance, in order for you to have the stride, you need to have the pelvis sitting upright. But when you have one leg off the ground, what's preventing the pelvis from not dropping? It's that hip, the planted leg. Making sure that you don't collapse. And so it's kind of another way to train the side glutes, just simply walking with a lot of weight. So that's what I did. Messed around with a whole bunch of other stuff as well. Like I said, fire hydrants and leg kicks and all sorts to get the muscles. And I don't know. I mean, I stretched a lot this morning, but I feel like the hips are feeling better. Anyway, guys, I have to get out of here and go to work now, but some ideas there. I just sent this morning a whole stack of jerseys. I found out it's such a really cool thing, man. Like businesses, there's so much business stuff that you learn every day. They told me at the post office that they were happy to come and collect stuff from my home. So I called the lady this morning and she just came with a van and took all of the jerseys. There was something like 30, 35 jerseys that she came and picked up. So that saves a lot of time for me, man, right? Like I don't have to, drive there and do all of that. They come and they pick it up. So anyway, really, really cool. So thank you all for supporting the journey, supporting the jerseys. Really, really cool for you guys, from you guys. And I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace out.